Those were the words that stopped her in her tracks. The restaurant was closing, the lights were dim, and the night outside was brutally cold. Emily, a 27-year-old waitress working a double shift, had already wrapped her scarf around her neck when she heard the shaky voice from behind her. She turned and saw him, the CEO she had served earlier. Daniel Cole. Wealthy. Powerful. And now, sitting alone in a booth with his head bowed, too drunk to stand, his hands trembling as if the cold had seeped straight into his bones. Most people would have ignored him. Most would have said, "Not my problem," and walked out into the night. But Emily wasn't most people. And what she did next would change both of their lives. Before the story begins, make sure you subscribe, like, and comment to support our channel, Kindness World. Your support helps us share more heartwarming stories that remind the world how powerful kindness can be. Emily walked back toward the booth, her steps slow and unsure. She'd seen drunk customers before, but this felt different. Daniel wasn't loud or rude. He wasn't aggressive or demanding. He just looked defeated. A man who had everything but somehow had nothing left inside him. "Sir," she said quietly. He lifted his eyes, red, exhausted, almost childlike. "Please, don't leave yet. I don't feel right." For a moment, Emily hesitated. Her shift was over. She was tired, and she had a long bus ride home. But there was something about the way he said it, soft, broken, that made her sit across from him instead of walking away. "You shouldn't be here alone," she said. He nodded slowly, pressing a hand to his forehead. "I didn't know where else to go." Emily didn't know Daniel's story. She didn't know he had spent the last 6 months drowning in guilt over a failed marriage, or that he hadn't spoken to his brother in years after a bitter business dispute. She didn't know that earlier that evening, he had driven around the city aimlessly, trying to escape memories that clung to him like shadows. All she saw was a human being who needed help. "Do you want some water?" she asked. He nodded again. His eyes were glassy, and she could see he was struggling to stay upright. She poured a glass and handed it to him. When he reached out, his fingers brushed hers, ice cold. "You really are freezing," she murmured. He gave a weak smile, like someone trying to pretend they were fine. Time passed slowly. The restaurant was silent, the heaters already off for the night. Emily removed her scarf and draped it around his shoulders. "You need this more than I do," she said. His eyes softened. "Why are you being so kind?" "Because someone once was kind to me when I needed it," she replied. "And it saved me." He didn't respond, but she saw something shift in his expression, a crack in the mask he wore as a CEO, a glimpse of the lonely man beneath. When the manager locked up, Emily helped Daniel walk outside. The cold wind hit them, sharp and unforgiving. Daniel shivered violently. "Do you have a ride?" she asked. "My driver left hours ago," he muttered. "Okay, then I'm calling you a cab." But Daniel shook his head. "Please, just stay until it comes. I don't want to be alone." They stood on the sidewalk under the dim streetlight. Emily kept an arm steady around him so he wouldn't stumble. Cars passed. Nearby shops closed one by one. Most people didn't even glance at them. But Emily didn't mind. She wasn't embarrassed. She wasn't impatient. She just wanted him to get home safely. "You know," Daniel said quietly, "people think success means you never break." Emily looked at him. "But you do," he continued. "You break in places no one can see." His voice cracked, and for the first time, she realized his tears weren't from drunkenness, they were from pain he'd been holding back far too long. "Everyone breaks," she said gently. "It doesn't make you weak. It makes you human." The cab finally arrived, headlights cutting through the darkness. Emily helped Daniel into the back seat. "Wait," he said, grabbing her hand. "Come with me." Please. I can't, she replied with a soft smile. But you'll be okay. Just get some rest. He looked at her like she was the first person in years who had spoken to him without wanting something. What's your name? He asked. Emily. I won't forget that. She laughed lightly. You probably will. You're pretty drunk. But he shook his head firmly, as if clinging to the one good thing that had happened to him that night. No. I won't. The cab drove off, and Emily stood alone on the sidewalk, breathing into her freezing hands before walking to catch the last bus. The next morning, she returned to work as usual, thinking the night was just an odd memory. But as she tied her apron and stepped onto the floor, she froze. Daniel was standing near the entrance. Sober. Clean-shaven. Dressed in a tailored coat. And holding a large bouquet of winter flowers. When he saw her, his face lit up, not in a romantic way, but with genuine gratitude. I told you I wouldn't forget, he said. And I didn't. Emily blinked, stunned. You're okay? Because of you, he replied. Last night, you didn't treat me like a CEO. You didn't treat me like a burden. You treated me like a person. He handed her the flowers, his voice steady but warm. Thank you for not walking away. She didn't know what to say. No one had ever brought her flowers before. She had spent most of her life giving care, not receiving it. Daniel took a deep breath. I want to do something for you. Not because I'm trying to repay a debt. But because your kindness reminded me who I want to be. Emily shook her head. You don't owe me anything. Maybe not, he said. But good people deserve good things. Over time, Daniel became a regular at the diner, not as a billionaire seeking attention, but as a man slowly rebuilding his life. Emily learned he started making amends with his family. He cut back on alcohol. He even began volunteering at a shelter in his free time. All because one night, someone refused to walk away. One evening months later, he told Emily, you know, people think kindness is small. But it's the thing that saves us when nothing else does. And he meant it. Emily smiled, feeling warmth she hadn't felt in years. She didn't save him because he was important. She saved him because he was human. And through that simple act, her own life grew brighter too. More than titles. More than wealth. More than pride. Kindness is what stays. So remember this. You never know whose life you are touching when you choose compassion. And you never know how deeply it might return to you. Let kindness be the thing you leave behind in every room, every moment, every heart. Because kindness doesn't just change others. It changes you.